I cut out sugar a month ago. I did not expect how it would affect my stress, my sleep, my mood, or what would happen if I relapsed and had some sugar. If you've ever wondered what happens when you cut out sugar, here's what happened. So this isn't a transformation story. It's just what happens when you make a bit of a change or a habit change, and real life does come at you a little bit, and how you gotta deal with that a little bit, I guess. So in the previous video, I talked about what happened when I did have some sugar after 23 days. So make sure you check that one out. But the reason for me doing this, well, first of all, my wife, Angg, she's a nutrition coach, mindset coach, same as myself. So she approached me and said, look, I'm thinking of doing this thing. I knew my sugar intake, it wasn't, well, I didn't think it was bad, but it turns out maybe it wasn't the best. So I was having these little snacky biscuits every now and then. I'd probably treat myself, do some work. So I work a lot at home, and then I come into here, the academy for teaching and coaching. That's where the bricks and mortar stuff is. But I find it easy to work at home. It's not always the best place, because sometimes, I'll take a little break and, I'll have a cup of tea, maybe grab some biscuits, and you don't realize how quickly those build up. So Angg approached me and said, look, I'm going to cut out sugar. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be having this high fat meat, and it's just purely going to be that. We're going to have 2 meals a day. Will you do it with me? She would have done it on her own. I know she would have done. But I said, hey, well, you know what? Let's give it a go. Let's see what that's all about. It was all about living healthy. I've just turned 50, or I was coming up to turning 50 then. So I know I don't look it. So we've got a baby, and I thought, well, do you know what? I want to live way past 100. I want to be there for my boys. So my eldest is 16, so I got 4 boys, and so that was important to me, being able to spend that time with the boys and having a fulfilled life. I love serving, so I got to make sure I'm around for a long time. So that was my motivation in doing this experiment test. It's not really a transformation, it's more of a lifestyle. That's how we're describing it for ourselves. And I think that's an important first step if you've ever considered doing this. Treat it as a lifestyle. And I know there's videos out there where I did 30 days of this, and they're great, because you should be able to get a good idea what would happen. Angg actually invested in a coach to kind of guide us through it. I think also that's important. But also from our point of view, Angg would be able to do it no problem with or without me. Obviously, it's a bit easier when you're cooking meals that, you're not just cooking for yourself and then someone else, or vice versa. So it was nice to be on board. I think I said in the last video, I did have in my mind thinking, do you know what? I might have to keep some sneaky biscuits at work, but I'm also quite stubborn. And in terms of mindset, because I was, talking about mindset a lot in everything I do, and being a business owner, mindset's really important. So I have got the mindset for it. However, it does help create like something like this. We could be talking about anything. It helps create that resilience that, I'm going to see this through to the end, or I'm going to be okay. A bit like from doing training. Some people can stay on it every day or whatever it is, regiment of my program, but there's going to be days when you just can't. Life does come along and says, maybe not today. And that is okay. Because I think sometimes there's so much stuff of, you got to follow this, you got to do it this way, you got to do exactly like that. Even I'm a bit of a guilty party for that sometimes. But also I do know there's times when you're just going to kind of have to take a step back, and you're going to come off it a little bit, and not to feel guilty or bad about that. So I'll share a little bit again about, what happened when I did have some sugar. But I think my reasons behind it was I was starting to get a bit of middle-age spread. Yeah, because I'm midway through my age. Remember, I'm only 50. I'm nearly halfway through my life. So for me, it was about just having a longer, fulfilled life, feeling good about myself. I'm on my feet pretty much all day. So I work at home, yes, but I'm on the go, and my brain is constantly going. So I have had trouble sleeping in the past. Maybe that's an active mind of mine, and maybe other business owners, entrepreneurs, you'll understand that sometimes that voice is still going. So yeah, meditations worked for me great in the past, but I want to come from a different angle on this. So that was my main reasons for doing this. So the first week, Anne said to me, this is going to be pretty tough. Now, I'll be honest, it was tough. It wasn't as tough as I thought it was going to be. So she did warn me that you're probably going to get a bit more tired than normal. As I understand it, our body was then having to adapt to basically get the energy from the fat that was already stored within our bodies, and then adapting to, the diet that we're going to have. So basically, in a nutshell, quickly on the diet, so we'll have like a good quality meat. We've actually saved some money, a lot less recycling. And we go to the butchers a bit more now, which is nice because we're helping local business. And that we want the fattiest part as possible. So if it was chicken, definitely keeping the skin on. If we're having pork, if you like pork or eat pork, having as much of the fat, and the same with the steak. And lamb. I was never a fan of lamb. We'd have now in my last video, I said it wrong. I think I said it's 60 grams cooked meat. Apologies, got the number 60 in my head. 200 grams. This is for me. So I have 200 grams meat when it's cooked. So just bear in mind, if there's meat on the bone, you got to account for that. And then I'll either have 60 grams of nuts, 60 grams of cheese. So it'll be one of these three, or I'll pick out 20 olives. We'll probably roast some cabbage up, put some, Angg does a real nice roasted cabbage, or it could be just raw cabbage, or same with broccoli. So it's those more like the green veg that we'll have with that. And honestly, that's enough. That's my even meal, basically. Prior to that, missed out my breakfast and lunch. So probably 6 eggs, some 60 grams cheese again, grated over, maybe some mushrooms in there, and maybe some spinach as well. So getting a good amount of what I need. Salt and pepper, no problem. But we're very mindful on what we're buying from the shops. Ang's a bit more on it. She's up to date. She's a nutritional coach, so she knows what to look for, and just making sure there's no hidden extras. And that's part of the reason for going for the butchers. Now, I'm not saying that a supermarket, they're putting other stuff in there. I don't know. But, sometimes we can tell ourselves when we put something on to cook. It's definitely a better quality meat from your local butchers for sure. Anyway, the first week was tough. It was a bit harder, not as hard as I thought, but it was tough. And there were times when it was more habit, I think, than anything, of making a tea and then wanting to go and grab a biscuit, and it's not there, or it is there. Also tough. We didn't really talk too much about it. I started to tell people because I thought that, I got birthdays coming up. You know what's going to happen, Easter. If my mum come over, bless her, she was dropping off these biscuits and cakes and stuff. We're okay, thank you. The boys chucked into that one. So that was quite tricky. Definitely, that was tricky. Then when we went on our holiday, so for those that don't know us, or you tune in for the first time, we got married on the 18th of April, and the next day is my birthday, where I turn 50, and then the day after that is Ang's birthday. She's much younger than me, but of course, I'm not sharing that age. I know what's good for me. So we had celebrations. We were away. So we went the week before, the Saturday before. Oh my gosh, that was one of the hardest days. I don't know if it's because we were away and you kind of think, well, we're on holiday, you should be able to let our hair down. Don't look at the bald parts. My hair hasn't grown back, right? It hasn't changed my hair. So we're away. Why can't I? But I was like one day away from day 21. And I thought, no, if I can just do one more day, that's 3 weeks. And actually, we were talking about it later on. I mean, I worked out, it's like that. When you change a habit, 19 days in is when you're likely to fall off it. So it was around about 19-day mark. I think it's around about another chance you're going to fall off that habit is around about 33, 35. Can't remember, whatever it is. So that was the hard day. I felt glad the next day I didn't do it. So we went into the week. We had like some wedding anniversary celebrations on the Wednesday. That was day 23. That's in the last video. I felt rough. Oh my God, I had one drink, but I think I've been eyeing up these cookies or whatever it is. And the sugar rush hit me, but I think worse than that, it was like a sugar hangover. It was horrible. And all this time I've been thinking, right, I'm going to get back and have those cakes that my mum got. So it made me think, like, gosh, I was much more addicted to sugar than I realized. Now, that was the times that are hard, but how I felt since doing it, I feel once I got through maybe week 1 or 2, I started to get a little bit more energy. I felt more energized. It hasn't affected any of that. If anything, people have said to me, my members have been teaching some of the fitness kickboxing classes, they said, what, you definitely are sugar because the way you're bouncing about looks like nothing's changed. Exactly. And a few people commented, looks like you've lost weight. My mum and dad noticed it around about our wedding anniversary, and that was only 3 weeks in. We obviously had that day, and then we had my birthday and Ang's birthday, so we celebrated on the same day. So we just had you know what, we can afford one day, it's okay. And maybe so that was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Last Friday, we've had a bank holiday here in the UK, so I think Friday we decided, you know what, it's warm, it's nice, let's have a drink, let's maybe have a cake. And again, I felt rough the next day. It's not like a drink hangover where you can feel rough for ages, but it definitely affected our mood. So what I feel from that is it's okay to take, have a treat if that's what you want to do. You may just, if you're doing this or you're thinking about doing it, you may decide, no, I'm just going to go all in. But if you have a relapse or you have a day where you think, I just want to, come on, it's my birthday, I'm out with friends, I want to be able to eat without having to worry about it too much. Don't worry about it. Just do what you got to do. So if we were going out, in fact, on that anniversary, we had a few coffees. But I'm not a coffee drinker, black coffee, by the way. So eating, when we're having coffees out, don't know really what's going in that milk. So my advice to you would be to have a black coffee if you're doing this program. So you may wonder though, what happens then if you fall off the wagon and how do you get back on track? Well, for me, me and Angg, we decided this is a lifestyle and it's okay to have that odd day. My concern would be that it becomes back into another habit. It doesn't matter, I'll just do another day. So I'll be raw and honest. When I had that relapse on Friday, or not relapse, let's not call it that, I decided, you know what, I'm treating myself. In my head, the next day, it was almost easy. I'll do it again. So I had to fight with that. I think I might have had a biscuit, to be fair. But by Sunday and yesterday, at the time of recording this, no, I said, no, not doing it. Did I get a craving? Yes, I did. And just actually learned to make some protein bread out of egg white. So that's pretty cool. So I just had a slice of that, put some butter on. So it didn't have, it's no sugar in there. A couple of people are, oh, you eating fruit? No fruit. So I think we're coming on to another part of our journey of doing this. And I'll get a bit more. I'm hoping Angg will come on at some point. Obviously, we've got a baby to think about, so juggling that. But at some point, yes, we can start to, be a bit more creative on the meals. It's not boring meals, by the way. So, we are jazzing it up as best we can. I don't just sit eating 6 eggs all the time. We might have it fried or whatever. I don't want to get into a Bubba Gump of, but replacing eggs with shrimp with eggs, right? So, but you get the idea. So you can mix it up. If there's some fat left, though, if you've cooked that evening, you often use the fat to cook that's left over to cook in the egg. So it adds flavor to stuff. So it's not a bland meal. There's no way I would have been able to cope with that. Angg tried a vegan one, I think, last year, and she said it was just, she was having to eat more. So this way we have 2 meals a day. For training, we might up it up to around about 3, but it is enough. So when I go back in a minute, that my breakfast, lunch is going to see me right through to the evening, and I'll go back and I'll be getting hungry again then. Something to be aware of we learned is that if you do feel hungry after eating one of these meals, there's potential, be aware of what you've eaten. There may have some sugar slipped in, okay? So that's one thing to be aware of if you are on this journey. Maybe on a future video, let me know in the comments. We could share some of the meals that we've had if it helps you. I know Angg is putting together a recipe book. Just so the last thing you want to do is eat bland meals, not interested in it whatsoever at all. So what has this taught me about my relationship with food? I was clearly quite addicted to sugar. Some of it I would say is quite habitual. So I'll get a snack in, I'll go and do this. So be aware of that, mindful whether you're cutting out or cutting down, and just you can always have it later. I'll do it later. So for me, what I'm thinking now is because I will have a cake or I'll have something at some point. I'm not ruling it out. I may change that. I may completely rule it out. I used to like having some sweets from time to time. However, what my mindset is now is, let's say I had these biscuits on the weekend, right? So now I'm a bit annoyed at myself because I wanted to go to a really nice baker or somewhere nice and buy something fresh or handmade. So I'm a bit frustrated at myself because it's like, well, I'm going to have to wait now for that. It's stuff I've tasted before, so it's not like it's the end of the world. See, we're always chasing these little dopamine hits, aren't we? And that's what it is. It's a dopamine hit. So can you get it from something else? If you like sparkling water, I found sparkling water just takes that edge away a little bit rather than having tea or coffees all the time. And tea and coffee, you may want to cut that out. Angg will make a fat coffee in the morning. So that'd be my one coffee. So black coffee, some butter in there, happy days. I think she put something else in, but we'll see. Nothing weird, by the way. So my relationship with food and my habits of how I'm working, what I'm doing, it's opened my eyes up to that, because habits are stuff we do without thinking. I'll tell you what I do as well. I will still look in the cupboard, even though I know full well there's nothing in there. And even if there was, I just have a look at it. I think, that might be cool. Maybe when I decide, or if I'm going to have something, I will have that, or I'll have that in mind. But not today. Today is, I need to build up my score count or whatever it is that you would use to work to push you forward. And we could be talking about anything here that you want to make a habit change, because it is all mindset and it does improve your resilience. What I noticed is last week also, where my boys, my other three boys come over, a couple of them were kind of not wanting the cake so much or the sweet so much. The treats that were just easily there. And that's my fault. That's on me as a parent. So they were obviously seeing how we're eating. And a couple of times we said, have the cheese, have the nuts or olives. So they had pretty much the same as what we were having. Angg just lost weight. She's feeling better. She gave birth a year ago. So she was still recovering from that. And this is Angg's journey or story. So that's maybe for her to tell, but from a woman's point of view. But just put it out there anyway. It's how to, shift some of the baby fat and kind of help repair herself, that much more. Actually, Kanzo's still breastfeeding, and he started breastfeeding a bit more because, and how Angg said it last night, is because he's getting the more goodness from what we're eating into his breast milk. Now, if you've considered going on a similar journey or cutting out sugar, or you've done it, comment below. It's great to hear other people's stories, no matter where you're at. And if you need a bit of help, support, we're here for you. Just drop a message. And again, support is I think that's what made it a bit easier for me and Angg. We're a little bit competitive, but we've been accountable, or keeping each other accountable as part of this journey. Really, my final thoughts, this journey, or what we're doing, is probably been less about sugar so much. I actually, I was looking at the world. It's on a shift again. What are our habits? How are we? How does sugar affect our mood, our sleep, our stress? I've actually got quite a lot of work done, more so than what I would have normally done, and I'm flipping constantly on something, so, as in work-wise, right? So I found I've had more time and more space for that, and it's been a great thing to do with Angg and sharing this journey together. So it is a transformation, I guess. I started off saying it's not a transformation, but it is, but it is a lifestyle. And I'm okay if I gotta, have to have a cake. I'm out with some friends from school. Yes, we're having our 50th celebrations this weekend. We're not drinking, but we're gonna have something to eat. So of course, I'm probably what I eat that day will make me think. Actually, on my birthday celebrations, I refused to have fries. I was really looking forward to them. I thought I'm gonna have some fries. Oh yes. And then I didn't have them in the end, so I had a salad. So that's shifted. And so it'll be interesting. We'll see what happens. But if you want to continue following how this journey goes for me, make sure you drop a subscribe. There's gonna be loads more different videos coming up as the Inner Power podcast is back. And remember, we talk about all things from It could be our health. It could be mindset. It could just personal development, even business stuff and spirituality. We want it all here, and we'd love to hear in the comments, what would you like to hear a bit more of from us? Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.